Welcome back to another week at DroneDJ, and this week we've got all eyes on DJI's new Inspire 3. What was your first impression, Kirk?
It looks badass. I don't know if I'm allowed to
We've
say
been
that,
talking
but
about
it
this
does.
long enough, right?
I know, it's like we already knew what it looked like because we got so many leaked images. But when you get all the pre-briefing stuff from DJI to get you ready for coverage, you're like, oh yeah, it looks awesome. You kind of gotta like also act surprised in front of them because you don't want to make them upset.
Well, we can talk about it all we want, but when you see it, it's always a different story.
Yeah, when it's actually real and not just
For
coming
sure.
from Deal's Drone or
Yeah.
LV. Actually, it's way more fun.
Let's go over the specs quickly before we talk about the really interesting updates on the Inspire 3. So first of all, obviously Inspire lineup. This is the camera drone lineup from DJI. So the most important thing we have to look at is the camera specs. It's got the 8K. Let me share my screen here as well so we can go over this first from DJI website. And ding, there we go. The camera is 8K and you can shoot up to 75 frames per second in ProRes RAW or 25 frames per second in Cinema DNG, which you also need to buy the Apple ProRes license. So 8K, I mean, that's giving you a lot of room. I remember when we started flying with the CineStar 8 and back then the top requirements was shooting with the Red Dragon, which is 6K.
Mhm.
So in the air, 6K gives you more room, right, to crop, to stabilize, to even include some additional post-production movements. I mean, you don't necessarily have to broadcast or go live with 8K, but it does give you more room in post.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think broadcasting is down to I think it's like 1080 60, which is actually great compared to what it was on the Inspire 2, which I think was 1080i 50. So
Hmm.
that's actually a huge increase. I was joking with that over on Twitter about like, hey, well, if I have to get a space spin on this for my other site, hey, SpaceX will be able to do live streams a little bit better now because they use Inspired 2s for the live stream. So, uh,
Well, plus Inspire 3 does have the camera has better dynamic range.
mhm,
They also have a dual native ISU, which means you get better low light performance, right?
yep,
Along that, the separate FPV camera can also see actually well under low light conditions. So both the primary camera and your navigation camera have really good low light performance.
yep,
Interchangeable lens, just the same as all Inspire series. So we've got 18, 24, 35, and 50 millimeters. Those are from
hmm
DJI. I use both the Inspire 1 and Inspire 2 as well. So I
yeah,
remember we were able to also get a zoom lens from Olympus back, when they were producing parts for DJI. So I wonder if there are going to be third-party lenses available on Inspire 3 that are zoom. Like
yeah.
we were able to get a zoom lens from
I was
Olympus for
told
Inspire 1.
is it E-mount camera. It's E-mount like the other two, like the Inspire 2 is. So I've already seen videos with people putting in some anamorphic lenses
Yeah.
from third party people on it. I don't know if that's already supported
Now I
out of the
wonder.
box
I'm
yet.
I'm gonna try
Um,
when I get the Inspire 3. I'm gonna try to see if we can put
yeah,
any of the previous Inspire 2 and Inspire 1 lenses on
but
it.
how it was explained to me was that it's E-mount, so any E-mount lens should work. That
Right.
is at least not anything crazy. I don't think we're going to be adapting E-mount to like a PL, like a camera and cinema lenses. I'm put those on there, but maybe we can try.
Never say
But
never.
you never say never. I'm sure someone will do it, but I don't know if I will be doing it if I ever get one. But yeah, E-mount. So you can also we just see because email is very very adaptable to also EF with Canon, and F was it and also with you can get adapted over the F mount with Nikon, but it's very very adaptable. So it'd be interesting to see like
What else
how
comes out?
customizable
Yeah.
you can get with your lenses. Yeah.
Electronic shutter, so not global shutter. Be careful
Mhm.
with obviously rolling shutter. And the mechanical pan on Inspire now, Inspire series always has the independent camera pan control, right? Versus the
Yep.
rest of the camera drones from DJI, you can only have tilt. So this you have both pan and tilt control. With all Inspire series, because the gimbal is hardwired into the frame of the drone. So if you're familiar with any of the bigger drones, for example, like FreeFly, Alta X, any of those, the gimbal is independent from the drone. So
Mhm.
that's what's giving you a 360 free pan. You can keep on turning and turning. With Inspire, because it's all hardwired, pro is it does give you a better integration. Everything works together. But the
Mhm.
con is if you keep on spinning, the wire is going to be spinning inside.
Yeah.
So you can only do 330 mechanical, like actual turn of the gimbal, but there is added support from the drone through the software to assist, like assisted 360 pan.
Yeah, to help it like, a little bit of a tilt with the drone, a little
Yes.
bit of a panning, help you finish
Yeah.
that up. Yep.
Flight time, again, manufacturer rating 28 minutes when the landing gear is actually in lowered position. And once the landing gear is up, this is 26 minutes, which means you'd be lucky to get 20 minutes before you want to return to home.
Yeah, which I think we were talking about that beforehand, like for this for this series of drones,
For cinema
that's great.
drones,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty
20
good.
minutes is great.
Yeah, yeah, compared
I
to
mean,
I think
we
what
used
the
to
Air
get
Peak gets away with like 16 minutes or something like that, or like 13
when
minutes.
we
So
flew the big octocopters with either the Red Dragon or Alexa Mini, we're lucky to get 7-8 minutes tops. I'm not
yeah,
talking about return to home time. I'm talking
hmm
about actual takeoff and landing, right?
yeah, yeah. And I know some people who do like those massive FPV rigs with like the red cameras on them for
Mhm.
movies. Like those last only a couple minutes as well
Yeah.
before they have to land them.
Now, let's also talk about some other interesting specs. As we know from DJI, it's never just about the drone and the spec. Let's take a look at what actually makes the Inspire 3. And if we jump through all the typical manufacturer, selling. So first of all, we have a tilt boost. It does give an interesting angle. So you can tilt up to
Yeah.
80 degrees without seeing the propellers, right?
Yep. That's interesting. Very useful.
We also have high mobility precision flight. So Inspire 3 has RTK. Now, if you use a base station with that, that's actually taking your camera drone to the entire next level. I guess that's also why Inspire 3 is using. So here we have the RTK positioning. So if you use the DJI space station, that's what's giving you the centimeter accuracy. Again, if you use any of the bigger camera drones, you find that the footage is very stable, right? Although, like even in windy conditions, but you
Mhm.
can see the drone is drifting and trying to fly a straight line is also always challenging. And that's just the limitations of your typical GPS based navigation. With Inspire 3, if you add the RTK, this is what's going to give you the precision centimeter accuracy. Also, repeatable path, which is going to make it super useful. If you want to repeat, let's say, the 3D dolly movement, or use the Waypoint Pro to actually do waypoint flight, then you can make adjustments and then have the drone repeat the same path over and over again while you can still adjust the camera angle independently.
Which is just like, just mind-boggling, like, just awesome.
So this is the Waypoint Pro, which includes
Mhm.
repeatable rods and 3D dolly movements. I can tell you from my filming days, this is one of them definitely key feature. I would say the stress relieving feature. Because the moment you take a big machine like that to go on a big film set,
Mhm.
you will get weird requests. I mean, they're creative, right? That doesn't
Yeah.
matter directors or DPs, they have their concept and they're trying to get you to execute those concepts. And if you have a drone that it's at that size and you have a complex environment with actors, with prop, with the whole set done, then it can be challenging if the drone is drifting, if it doesn't give you that precision, right? It's definitely, every time we took off, I'm always crossing my fingers that we won't have any accidents.
Mhm.
So the waypoint precision flight and repeatable flight while you can still independently control the camera. I can tell you, there's so many things on the film set that gives you stress, and this is one of the key features. To me, at least, it can help me to reduce stress a lot.
Yeah.
Not to mention the improved obstacle avoidance as well. So imagine if you do any of the 3D dolly movements, like if you look at here, this is a complex environment, right? Because as an operator, you have to be careful not to get in a shot when the drone is
Yeah.
actually doing all the different maneuvers, which means to maintain your visual line of sight is also going to be challenging because you don't want to be in the shot. And if you have buildings around you, if you have trees around you, then any assisted obstacle avoidance or repeatable movement would be super helpful.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever get to fly one of these, but if we do, like that, I want to like just test it
Keep
and
the
see how
hope
good it is.
alive.
I'm keeping the hope alive that one day that DJI might send us one.
There is also live stream. So I'm not sure. Actually, I didn't see too much information from
Yeah, it
DJI's
was pretty basic, but
yeah,
it's
but
just an upgrade to what was possible with the Inspire 2, pretty much. Just a little something.
because I use the RC Plus controller with
Mhm.
M30 and our M30T. So I was hoping when we get Inspire 3, we can also test it. I was wondering if the live stream had something to do with the Flight Hub 2 that's being used with Matrix 30. So we use Pilot 2 app and Flight Hub 2 with DJI Enterprise drones. And what
Mhm.
that does is essentially, you're looking at the drone as live streaming because then I can go to Flight Hub 2. That's just a browser-based platform. So say
Mhm.
if I'm out there flying your drone right now, Kirk, I can give you an account and a link, and you can go to your browser and you can tap into my enterprise drone. You can
Mhm.
see what it sees live. You can see on the map, all the different, even the different place marks and waypoints, different actions that I'm creating. Not only one drone, if I have multiple enterprise on my fleet, you can see every drone on that account. So
Yep.
imagine if you have a multi-camera live stream or live broadcasting situation, then that's your perfect switchboard, essentially.
That would be pretty awesome. Yeah.
And with Inspire 3 on the Pilot 2 app, we talked about this when DJI removed the DJI Go 4, right? That was the app used with Phantom 4 or Mavic 2 Pro. So when Mini 3 was introduced and Mavic 3, both of them are using just the DJI Fly app right now, which is a little simpler app, gives you less controls, but easier to use for beginner pilots. And we were talking about it at the time is, okay, what about all the um updated features or additional control features you can do or you were able to do on the DJI Phantom 4? What happened to all of those? And now we're seeing this is why, because the
Mhm.
Inspire 3, so I guess what DJI considers the higher end camera drones is now using the Enterprise Flight app, the Pilot 2 app. And all the things I didn't like from Fly app, they're all available on the Pilot 2 app. And I have to say, because I also used the Pilot 1 app for the previous generation of the enterprise drones, I have to
Mhm.
say on the Pilot 2 app, it had so many more features that really helped me as a pilot. It also has equipment health monitoring, has all the equipment maintenance reminders. And once you go into the drone, the radar screen also gives you a lot more information. So personally, I guess this answers my question because I was always asking, okay, what's the next level, flight app for the higher end drones? And now we know it's with the Pilot 2 app.
Yeah, so they're obviously, making their area separate. This is coming from DJI Professional. I don't know.
Enterprise.
Yeah.
Enterprise.
Well, no, for Inspire. Inspire is coming from their, I guess, a professional brand,
So
which I
no, so
don't know if that's actually a,
right now the division is
yeah,
camera drone and like
enterprise.
enterprise or
Yeah.
industry
They
drone.
always they have their like professional Twitter account. So I don't know if it's not necessarily a division of DJI. It's
Education
more
and
like just like
industry.
another group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see Inspire 3 under industry. So it's
Yeah. So
still under camera drone. See
camera
right
drones.
here,
Yeah. It's just
Inspire
their
still under,
professional line of camera drones.
yeah,
Yeah.
still under camera drone.
Yeah. So it's going to be treated a little bit differently from
Yeah,
like the
however, the
Mavericks and
controller
Minis.
they're using is the
It's the
RC class
RST.
controller, which is
Yeah,
the
which is
controller
super
we use
cool.
with enterprise drones with the Matrix 30 model.
That's a really awesome controller. Like I've never used it in flight. I've only just held it and just played around with it like I pretended like I was in flight, not actually flying. You do that. You get a controller, just pretend that you're actually flying, but you're really not. And that's it's a really nice feeling controller. It's like it's nice and heavy too. So like it
And it's waterproof.
it sits like you can just hold that thing for a while and
Yeah. I was hoping,
Very, very
when I
nice.
saw the RC Plus controller, I was hoping, maybe Inspire 3 is waterproof if they're using a waterproof controller.
Yeah,
But
I don't think so.
no,
Probably
no,
not. Yeah.
unfortunately.
There wasn't really if that was the case, that would be like the whole press release, and that was not it.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't think this might not be it. So
Okay, I mean, those are all the high level features on the Inspire 3. Now let's talk about price.
yeah, which is
This
interesting because
this is
our
what's
prices are
interesting.
different.
Yes. So if you're seeing my screen right now, that's because I'm actually located in Canada, and this is the price if you're not in States. And
Yeah.
Kirk, for those of you who are in States, is actually 16,499.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
guess that's with taxes.
it's with taxes, most likely higher taxes because it's a Chinese product in the United States, so higher tariffs. I didn't think it would be that much, but I guess when we're getting to like the tens of thousands of dollars, I guess like
Yes,
a couple
$3,000,
percentage
more than
points start
$3,000. Is it
going up
worth for you
further.
to travel to Canada to get a drone now?
But then it doesn't matter because when I come over to the border of the United States,
You still have to
I'll
declare
have
it.
I'll declare it and pay taxes on it. So I guess it doesn't matter. It'll probably be more of a hassle with gas.
So the starting point is 13,000 or 16,000, depending on where you're located. What's in the box is interesting because this is the first time I'm seeing from DJI on the camera drone that includes more than one set of batteries.
I know,
which
yeah,
is-
I didn't expect that too. I expected it 2 at most.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
not
6
6.
is only 3 pairs because
Mhm.
it flies 2 batteries at a time.
Well, and
Um,
also the box, I guess they call it the trolley case because you also have
mhm,
a carrying case. I don't know. It's weird. The case that everything goes into
yeah.
actually now allows for 6 batteries to be put in there rather than just. I think
And
was
also
Inspire
the
2 had 2.
intelligent charging hub. So
Yeah, the
these
charging
were
hub.
yeah. So this is more of an enterprise packaging. Actually, this is what DJI typically sells with enterprise packaging.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like a weird marriage between DJI Enterprise and DJI camera drones. That I don't mind. I like it. I like it pretty well. I mean, there's more pro like cameras that like if those more pro cameras come out, like and they are like this kind of like combination of the two, that'd be really nice.
Now, what it does not come with, it does not come with any lens.
Yeah, which like if you're into photography, that no camera
It
comes with
never comes
lenses,
with a lens.
and you're going to be spending twice as much on lenses than you did on your camera.
Yes, yes.
Like I think
If
we're
you
all
want
pretty
the
much used to that at
lenses,
that point.
that's additional accessories.
Yeah.
It only comes with one SSD drive, so I'd say you need at least one more.
Yeah, probably 4.
Also, if you want the raw license for especially your Apple ProRes, so that's
Yep.
another $1,000 just on the license, and basically your base rate, and it starts adding up from there. I'd say once you're said and done, 25 to 30,000, depending on the final lens you get. That's going to be more
Yeah.
realistic.
But again, if you're buying this drone, I mean, you probably make that much money back pretty quickly, especially if you're using it properly. So it's freaking awesome. I'm just gonna call it the Cyclops drone. Like it just looks like a Cyclops with that little FPV on its forehead.
8K FPV. I have to say from Inspire. I mean, personally, I always like the Inspire series because I find it's characteristic, right? It's not your typical straight, squarey quadcopter. I
It's
did have a
different.
little,
It's
yeah,
always
I
different.
did have a little more character. I'm glad the DJI didn't terminate the Inspire lineup. For a time there were concerns, right? For a time
Yeah.
that we weren't sure what's gonna happen with the camera lineup. And I did ask around to some of my cinematographer and director friends.
hmm
So my question, especially the ones who used to fly the bigger octocopters like us, right, with a bigger, Red Dragon or Alexa Mini. So I asked them. I said, okay, if you're given the choice between a smaller one, right? Inspire 3 is a smaller one. Like this is what we
Yeah.
used to consider as a medium
True.
lift. This is not a heavy lift with your traditional
Yeah.
5 kilograms of payload, right? Like your
Mhm.
typical free fly movie with a cinema camera and a prime lens. So my question to them was, if you were to choose between Inspire 3 and let's say a bigger Alta X, which
Mhm.
one would you choose? And knowing the camera difference, I mean, if pricing wasn't a concern, nothing else was the concern, just what's your personal preference? And I have to say most of them went with Inspire 3.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's just you don't really, especially with 8K, you can go down to 6K if you need more high and more frames. But
Well, what sold them is actually the controlling system and the
yeah,
automated features.
between the camera that like is just as good as pretty much any other camera you're gonna be putting on, unless you really need. Was Blackmagic's like larger camera now? Like, you probably can't even
You
put that on a
need
drone.
you need the Alta for Blackmagic.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if you
you
want
still need
that,
the
like
Alta for
that's gonna be
Blackmagic.
difficult to even get on a drone. But unless you're needing, like 10, was it 10K or 12K? 12K. Unless you really need 12K. Like 8K is just fine. 6K is probably just
You're also looking at the time it takes to
yeah,
mount those properly, right?
it's
Balance
all
it, depending on
integrated.
the lens to balance it, and plus the size of those octocopters.
Just
If you're
huge.
flying on set, it's always challenging because
Yeah.
it's way too big. You can't maneuver around tight spaces like the
Hmm.
Inspire 3 can. So footprint wise, we're talking about this is close to, I would say half, if not one third of the overall, because footprint is not just the drone. There's also, I mean, with more propellers and bigger drone,
Hmm.
there's, more downwash that's generated from the drone, right?
It's also much louder.
Much louder.
So if you're
Yeah.
trying to get, you're probably, I mean, I don't know, if you're doing a drone shot, you're probably also not getting audio, but
And the
never.
obstacle avoidance is not comparable to what's
Oh
actually
yeah,
on the
not
Inspire
obstacle
3. The
avoidance unless
safety.
you're talking about Skydios. Like obstacle avoidance anywhere is not
Well,
compatible with DJI.
Skydeal's camera is not compatible to this.
Yeah, but
It's
then
not in the
Skydio's
same
camera is not
class at
compatible.
all.
You can't even compare. You can't bringing up Skydio and Inspire like, are not even should never even be said. But like, yeah, if you're talking about obstacle avoidance, like you can't compare it unless you're talking about Skydio and DJI. And if you're talking about cinema level cameras, DJI is the only one. So
And if you compare, like if we try to look for competitive or competition in the market to the Inspire 3, I'm not seeing any competition in that same class.
no, like there's, I mean, no one is even trying to compete. Like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Autel maybe tries to throw hats in the ring maybe in a few years, because they're coming after the M30 with their Max 4T. I mean, we'll see if that actually makes a dent. I mean, it seems like a pretty solid drone. I haven't been able to test one, but I wouldn't be surprised because Autel seems like the company that would want to compete head to head
But
on every
Autel did
product with
get banned
DJI.
from, I believe, from Florida. That's going to be a story we can
Oh,
cover
oh yeah,
next week.
all Chinese-made drones were banned from
Yeah,
Florida,
the,
so it
well,
doesn't
for a
matter if
while
you're DJI or Autel.
they tried really hard not
Yeah,
to be a Chinese drone manufacturer, but
yeah.
they're
Although,
not Skydio.
yeah, although if we're talking about cinema camera, I mean, we're talking about cinema cameras. Like no, it's only for government
It doesn't
agencies.
really
So
matter. Yeah, the
yeah,
ban
if
thing.
you're a normal person, if you're not doing government work, you're fine. You can use a DJI drone
Yeah,
or
if you're
Autel drone.
civil, if
But
you're a civil
if you're
citizen.
government, yeah, apparently you can't do it, and that was a whole issue. That's still a whole issue that people are pissed about it. But yeah, that's a whole other problem. But yeah, and I think Autel hinted at possibly being on the move production here to the United States, but I don't know if they really want. I don't know. That's not really like anything set in stone. It was just kind of like, I mean, we have a possibility. Autel already produces automotive stuff here in the United States, so it wouldn't be that hard. So I don't know. I'd be
I
interested to
think
see.
they've got other things to fix
They
before
do.
the
I'll tell, but
manufacturer.
every year they come out with like they do, every firmware fix they come out with every year they come out with a new drone. Like you can see where they're going, and that's DJI. So I wouldn't be surprised if Autel, maybe in 3-4 years, says, "Hey, here's a cinematography drone like that is comparing, coming up against DJI."
Where
So
is DJI gonna be at that time?
yeah, I think they've always been like years behind, but you know, I thought they've done some really cool stuff with. I mean, the Max 4T has that ultrasonic like obstacle avoidance, which I would really love to try out and see how that compares to like a Mavic 3 or a Skydio, in very close quarters. But
But as
they
of
seem to be
now,
they have to innovate, and I'll see if that's
Inspire
possible.
3 is a unique design, and also its
Mhm.
product positioning is unique.
It
Not
is.
seeing any competition really on the market.
Right now
Um,
it's pretty much dominating that not I wouldn't that pretty much that professional to even like prosumer, like if you really need a big beefy, like really capable drone, like it
right.
has that, you know market down.
Yep. Well, let's see. I mean, the delivery timeline is May 30th. We're still a month and a half away. Obviously, with the higher end drones, DJI had limited testing units in North America, so they're still shuffling those around. We'll keep our eyes open, hoping to get one in the next month or so. And once we have the physical drone in hand and do some hands-on flight tests, then we can bring you more updates.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see if that all pans out. If not, we'll just be like everyone else who can't afford one and just be like, it's really cool.
We will see. Well, it's a wrap on the Inspire 3, and we'll see you all back here next week. Back to the usual drone news business. Take care, everyone.